Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet, a YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital worlds. Welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8, and this is a page from a website called TV Tropes, which honestly, if this was ever made into a book, it would probably dwarf Wikipedia. There is so much to it, and there are so many links to everything. Maybe one day I'll read some of it. But a lot of it is just good reference for stuff with anime, or any kind of literature or movie or TV show. Even whether it's Greek literature to just modern TV. But a lot of it is really good for a laugh. And yeah, it's just an interesting website that I figured I'd mention. Aside from that, I also wanted to mention there are 5 people I tend to see quite a bit on YouTube that seem to, seem to be the source for anime news, it seems. Like anything that's either new in society or anime or whatever. And they seem to be very outspoken, confident individuals. And they just have very interesting personalities. I'll wind up spelling their names in the description because I talk kind of soft and quiet, so I'll probably mumble a tiny bit and you guys may not understand me. But there's Khyo Nux Taku Rev says desu, Raging Golden Ego, and Hirohei. So, yeah, this is kind of interesting. And yeah, what do you guys think about TV tropes? I mean, heck, if you have a favorite TV show or a movie or a book, it doesn't matter what the book is or where it's from, it's probably on this site. I mean, seriously, Wikipedia. Though I am annoyed at all the freaking ads that keep popping up everywhere, at least you shouldn't be able to see it on the screen. But, more fuck. Anyway, main point I'm trying to say is TV Tropes, interesting site. So, yeah. Though, honestly, I don't think I'll read anything from it because I think I'd be too pissed off at all the fucking ads. I still want to say I strongly suggest the 1995 anime Slayers, which is based off a light novel series, which there's quite a bit to that light novel series. They even made several movies. Then again, I'm also a fan of the Tenchi Muyo series, which they've done reboots and rechanges of that quite a bit. I would stick with the original Tenchi Muyo OVA. It's just they've gone in some odd directions with some of them, but I always enjoy a new interpretation of a show. It's just, I don't know. There's lots of TV. Like, take Gundams. There's G Gundam is a really good one. Like, if I had to rate my top 3 Gundam series, there would be G Gundam, Bible Black, Gundam Wing. I mean, honestly, I was going to make it 4. I mean, you got to think of the original Mobile Suit Gundam series, but they made several of those. But, I think it's, Zeon, that one thing where the guy with the long golden hair is fighting for. I really should remember characters' names, but I don't. There's too much shit going on in different animes and stuff, but heck, take Bubblegum Crisis. There's multiple different versions of the Bubblegum Crisis. There's the older version of Bubblegum Crisis, and there was a newer version called Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040. Both awesome. I thought Tokyo 2040 was better, but yeah, the Slayers series, they made more movies. I think they eventually made like 6 anime seasons. And of course there was like fan fictions that were written. Of course you have to be careful like what websites you go to find the fan fictions. But I remember back when there was a website that had some interesting fan fictions such as Shinji and Warhammer 40k. It's the story of Shinji Ikari from Evangelion, but he winds up getting a Warhammer 40k set, and it really chaotically changes. Fuck. Sorry about that. Just kind of coughed a little bit, then stopped being able to breathe for a moment. Give me a drink of water. Fuck. Also, I strongly suggest there was a fan fiction series of the Slayers show by an author called Tuflorian. I'm not sure if the author is even still alive, but as I get continually annoyed with more fucking advertisements. At least they don't make noises, and they only take up a tiny bit of the screen. I can see you. Apparently, you should be able to see a little bit of it, but at least you don't see all of them. For fuck's sakes. But Tuflorian made multiple versions. While there are 6 different seasons that were eventually animated, at the time that this fanfiction came out, which is well over a decade ago, as I am lightheaded, but it's a good thing I'm sitting down. There were 3 seasons. The first one was Rezo the Red Priest. Second one was about Volgov and Filbriza. Well, about Gov and Filbriza. Third one was about Darkstar and Volgov and some dragon princess whose name I don't remember. And something to do with multiple universes and stuff and other... I don't know. And of course, technically, a prequel chapter would be Chapter 0 about Naga the White Serpent, which is a big titty goth magic caster who has a very outspoken personality, but she's not nearly as strong as Lena, but but that didn't get made into anime just because that was they obviously were concerned about censorship and stuff, because some of the stuff gets a little bit more mature, especially in fan fictions. An author can take more creativity than, say, a major licensed studio can. But the Tuflorian's works were based off of the 3 original seasons. One was a single novel, which was a continuation from the end of season 3, called Demiurge, or Demiurge. I'm not sure how to pronounce or spell it from memory. But the idea is that Lena eventually retired with Guri and had a family. But then the belief, a Demiurge is a belief in a religious being is strong enough it creates said religious being. It's kind of a thing used sometimes in Berserk. But everyone knows Berserk is a happy-go-lucky series. I'm joking, by the way. That's sarcasm. That's so much sarcasm. Though I do still strongly suggest the manga Holy Land and the light novel Berserk of Gluttony. Yeah. But the idea is that a younger version of Lena from her prime is sort of magically brought into existence and starts traveling around with actual Lena's granddaughter. Well, daughter. Actual, I'm making her older than she actually is. But it's the future, but Lena's like a mid-30s or something, and they've settled down, and she has a teenage daughter, and stuff like that, and the teenage daughter is going on travel with the magical genie version of her mom, I guess. I don't know how to do... I'm doing a terrible job of describing it, but out of all of the stuff Tuflorian wrote, it was the least interesting one to me, but it was still a good story. Another one that was equal in length was Slayer's Virtual, which was a retelling of the very first season with the Rezo Red Priest, but everything's as a futuristic cyberpunk sort of thing, and it's actually really well done. And then the one that's most interesting is, I think, a trilogy of books, which each are longer than I think Demiurge and Virtual combined were. And there's 3 of them. And I think it was Reflection, Chaos, and Rebirth, if I remember right. And Reflection was a story of, after the whole thing with Season 3, it just sort of immediately kept going, and Lena wound up breaking a magical mirror and had to go on a magical quest and learns the Giga Restoration spell, which is another Giga spell, which is a spell using power of the Lord of Nightmares, which is a sort of the uber super powerful being of that universe. I'm trying not to give too much away. But then at the end of that, she's kind of worried because it's a set of prophecy in motion. So, at the beginning of the next story, which I think is Chaos, she's explaining to Guri she's a little worried about stuff, but she's not really opening up about it. And he's like, hey, how about we just get something to eat and drink? You know, you can relax, you can tell me all that stuff and get it off your chest. And, you know, because he's trying to be a supportive friend. Though there are romantic interests there, but they're both very shy and awkward and not really sure how to progress. So they're just sort of taking things slow. Which honestly is probably a healthy way for people to do things. I don't know. Wonder what different ways people write for his... Because I know Akira Toriyama like avoided a lot of that stuff with Goku and Chi-Chi. Not because he didn't want it to be like that it didn't exist, which a lot of people eventually took it that they basically flanderized Goku. They made him more one-dimensional. But it was just that, of course he's not super good at math. He grew up in the mountains. Master Roshi at least did teach him for a while. But, Goku was never supposed to be dumb. He just didn't have much opportunity for education. Heck, it would have been interesting if Dragon Ball if he went another route. And, during that time where Gohan was young, he went and, hung out with Bulma and actually got a diploma or something. Did more stuff and went a different direction with that. But, best thing I'm trying to say is this. They made Goku a lot dumber than he should have been. Goku's not dumb. Same way they made it where he wasn't romantic or anything, which, let's be honest, all things considered, they kind of pushed that one trope when it came to the Nimbus and the Purity thing way too fucking much. There's no reason why Goku couldn't have been a romantic partner with Chi-Chi and a more, and it's like Chi-Chi could have kept training, they could actually... Why do I want Goku to have a better relationship with people? I don't know. Kind of wish they made the gravity thing that Vegeta trained in earlier. Then again, I made what if videos. Granted, they're not very good. They're very short, and it's more so me just stating an idea, but still. I'm just saying Akira Toriyama mainly avoided that subject because he was like, hey, my show's about comedy and action. And he was like, one, I don't want it to be about lovey-dovey stuff. And two, he was like, I don't really feel I'd be a very good writer about the lovey-dovey stuff. But I think Akira Toriyama was selling himself short. I think he could have done it. It's just, he didn't want to focus on it. He wanted the main focus to be on action with some comedy. And he felt anything else would sort of just draw away from what he wanted. It would sort of steer his vision off course. But over time, it just sort of, the fact that he left that stuff out, people just took that to assume, Goku must not have a sense of romance or anything like that. And it just sort of became part of his character. But it wasn't that that was ever meant to be a part of his character. It was just... And of course, Akira Toriyama is the one who's chosen how to do things in the future with that. And it's his character to do with as he wants. But it's just... I don't know. I enjoy stories, but at the same time, I'm like, But then again, that's the amazing thing about that. Because no matter what, you don't see how the writer's going to, steer the direction of the story, and that's what, how you get surprises. And what keeps it interesting and fresh. And what gives people like myself or other Dragon Ball fans the opportunity to ponder what-ifs. Because if there is something we didn't like, well, we can just think to ourselves, well, what if it was like this? How would that have changed everything? And of course, there's people out there that go the one step further. There's people out there that, I think it was like Dragon Ball Kumuke or something like that, or Multiverse Tournament, or Super Beyond, or stuff like that, or AF, where people just, they go the extra mile and actually organize the story properly, and actually draw it as actual manga, and actually create their vision of what they wanted to see. Of stories that could have been, or of revisions they thought should have been in the story. Which, of course, it's not their story, but it's their way of expressing, hey, I really enjoy this. It's kind of like Team 4-Star. All that stuff doing Dragon Ball Z Abridged was their way of saying, hey, we love Dragon Ball. This is how we want to express some comedy, get some laughs out of people, and just have some fun. Heck, I still remember enjoying the hell out of Lana Pator's Dragon Yu Yu Hakusho Abridged. Then again, there was another guy around the same time Team 4-Star started called Gozar, who did Also, he like alternate reality Dragon Ball Z abridged or stuff like that. I don't know. Dragon Ball Z alternate reality DBZ, whatever. Main thing is his stuff was just one dude with like no budget at all, and he was just doing random bullshit, and it was completely chaotic, and there was no organization to it. But it was silly, and of course, there's one guy doing all the voices. Then again, you had other people like HBI2K, or was it Little Karibo? I don't remember. I believe both of them are people. I believe Little Karibo was the person who did the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, maybe? And I think HBI2K did the Berserk Abridged. Right? I think that's what it is. I don't really remember. I don't know where we're going with this conversation. Sorry, I'll try to wrap up the video. But yeah, Chaos was... Yeah, but then she wants to tell him that, there's a spell that once you do Giga Slave and Giga Restoration, that there's a spell called Giga's Gate that is now available, and Guri's like, okay, if you're worried about saying it, tell me what the words are to it so I can prevent you from saying it. And of course, she's a mix of a little drunk and a little anxious about stuff that she's not really thinking, so she recites the spell to him, and he's like, okay, good. Now I know what to tell you, what not to say, if you go to start to say it, so I can save you. And then she's like, wait a second, you dumbass. What the f... And then all of a sudden, they're up in another dimension, face to face with, God, Lord of Nightmares. And then you're basically sent on a holy pilgrimage to find the 8 original Adams and Eves of the world. Though some of them don't want to be found and aren't very nice. So that's an interesting story. And then, of course, the final of that trilogy is, I think, Rebirth, where after all of that's resolved, there's another being on the same level as the Lord of Nightmares that winds up, throwing a wrench into everything with the universe, and lots of stuff happens. But I remember the art style in terms of some background images that were drawn by the author based on the original characters, as well as just the way the storytelling was phenomenal. I really enjoyed the story. Maybe one day I'll actually read some actual Slayers light novels. Heck, one day I might actually read the fanfictions. Who knows? I probably won't read the TV trope stuff because I'm so annoyed with all these advertisements. But I understand it's part of the website, trying to pay for its own space. I mean, it's a massive... there are so many pages in this. Honestly, think of any anime you want, type it into this, and you will find more information on any anime that you want, or any TV show, or any movie, than probably existed in any library on Earth. Like, there is such an almost inexhaustible amount of pages on this site. There's probably more pages on this website than there are stars in the sky. So I guess it's kind of understandable. Anyway, that's it. Bye, everybody.